and welcome to the show. Your hosts, Lisa Westby and Erica Tafoya. Hi, Erica.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi, and we're here to talk about stuff and things.
Yes,
okay,
that's right. Yeah. That's it. This is the show.
Today's topic is kind of an introduction to us. Okay, and here I'm just going to say it. We're just going to jump right in. We're old enough to have now decided that we think we're part alien because it doesn't make sense why we're here being us. Kind of weird. Like, I don't know. Erica, you're the communicator. I'm the dance interpreter. You tell us how did we arrive here? How did we feel like we are just a little extra different? We're like connected alien consciousness trying to figure out how to operate our bodies. But there's more. It's like, because we're not really tinfoil hatty either. We're just people who have tech jets. Like, we're not that weird.
No, we're not that weird, and we're super weird at the same time. Because it's an and. We live in an and. It's not this like binary, right? It's by the way, just want you to know, folks, if I do this sometimes, it's just because I have motion lights. I'm trying to keep them on. So
or we're signaling the ship.
Or I'm signaling the ship. Like,
we're also signaling the ship. It's not or, it's and we're signaling the ship.
We're signaling the ship at the same time. Yes. So okay. I just want to give a little background on this because thanks to you, Lisa, we watched this documentary, which I feel like every human being should watch. It's amazing. It's called Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind with Dr. Stephen Greer. And holy cow, it's like super awesome content. And so after having watched this, and then also a friend of Lisa's, and you can probably tell the story better, but basically was like, yeah, we decided that you're like part alien. And as soon as Lisa told me this, I'm like, oh my God, that totally resonates. I do think you're part alien, and I am too.
You are also part alien.
I am also part alien. And perhaps at some point, Lisa and I, way back in the day, we were one alien and we split into two because I really, I've never felt a connection with anyone in my life the way that I do with this one right here.
It's total connection.
Total connection.
Total connection. So it's like a feeling, and let's just talk about that total connection for a minute.
Yes.
Because I want people to know if you do not feel this way, you can feel this way. It's like this feeling of total resonant excitement of like, and you get to be 100% yourself, which is why we're even doing this on the internet, because I would never do this on my own because I would just be like, okay. And when I'm with Erica and we're interacting, it's like this resonant, like those tuning forks or whatever, it just goes, and it's just awesomeness. And so it's like a higher level of awesomeness, and everybody needs a friend, a pet, or a lover, or all three. But this feeling is really great. And I do believe that everyone can find ways to get this resonance. And it just happens that we are this, and it could be that we're shared alien consciousness, part alien, not alien, kind of doesn't matter. But we're just kind of going with the alien thing because it gives us fun things to talk about. We think it's true also because, back to you, Erica, about the documentary, like that made us mind open stuff.
Well, the whole connection between, and I there's really nothing to give away, let's say, but the whole connection between the idea or this alien consciousness basically being an evolved form of us was like, bingo, that really hit. It was like, oh, that makes so much sense. We are on our way. We are on a path. And I do believe, there's all sorts of energy out there. There's infinite amounts of different types of energy that we haven't discovered, that we couldn't even think up right now in our human bodies or in our human minds. And it's so fun to think about. And I do think that I love the idea that we are sort of tapping into a future us. I love that. I think that's so cool. And it feels so good to know that, I'm someone who completely subscribes. I mean, it's not even a question for me as to whether or not once we leave these human bodies, there's something else. Absolutely. That's not a question. The question for me is, okay, but what? what is it? And yay, I'm so excited. So
well, and the thing is that what that documentary communicated to me on one of many things was that you can access different dimensions of consciousness and existence within yourself, within the sphere of existence, because it's not just the third dimension, there's 12 or probably infinite dimensions, that you can access all of this. It's just that there was no guidebook, and maybe there are guidebooks, but no one understands them, or they're written by really people that aren't communicating a way that's easily, and maybe people just don't care because the third dimension feels really real too.
sure.
But it just the ability to tap into all the, like people who are dead. We love dead people.
We love dead
We
people.
want to talk to them.
Totally.
And and they talk to Erica. Oh my God.
And you, and by the way.
Oh yeah, that's right. I totally forgot.
Lisa's the one who actually introduced me to this concept. She connected with my mom in a way that was like, my mom, passed away many years ago. And she connected with my mom in a way that was so eye-opening and revealing and so cool and fun and funny and just real that it was like, oh my God, I thank you. So,
well, you inspired that in me, because if you think you're getting messages, who are you going to tell? Your bestie.
Oh,
and right. Yeah. And the internet. No.
And the internet.
Hello, YouTubes. No, but I think what was so cool about that is you inspired me to tap into that, because I was like, yeah, of course. Like, it was like your assumption that we totally could made me tap. And I was like, yeah. And then I told you about it. You're like, totally. And then you're confirming things. And it was like, oh my God, really? So it wasn't like, we want to speak to the dead and we're deciding that we can do this. It was just like this synergy of different attitudes and perspectives that kind of made us there. And then now you're having literally Morse code with light bulbs from the other side.
I was, yes. So, okay. Sorry. Got to do the alien thing. So I just I wanted to tell you about my conversation with the light fixture today. It was so fun.
Today, this is the third one in like a week or two.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So
tell us all the whole thing. Okay. This is amazing.
So this is, and yeah. So, okay. So after having watched this documentary a couple of days ago, I just was so geeked and so excited about it. So, and when that happens, and I talk to myself quite a lot. So nobody was home, and I sat down at my desk and I looked up. So I had like I was in the kitchen. I had 3 light fixtures above me, and I was like, yeah, this is awesome. Just about the documentary and just the whole idea of like, I'm going to connect with the aliens now. We're going to create this relationship. It's going to be super cool. And the lights flickered. And I was like, okay, yeah. So I sat there and I looked up and I was like, all right, yeah, like I'm here for it. Let's do this. If we're going to do this now, let's do it now. And it flickered again. And yeah. And at that point I was just kind of dumbfounded, like, okay, now what? Like, and then it flickered a third time. And so I was just like, okay, I got to do, what do we do now? So that was that. And then, I had another instance. It was in the following day. Oh, it was about this very thing, this podcast. And I had just spoken to Lisa. And I also had talked to my son, who is going to be our video editor, which is very exciting.
Thank you, Tanner. Yeah.
And so I chatted with him, and I was like kind of gauging to see if he would be interested, and he was all about it. So I was like, all right, we're all kind of sitting around board right now, and not just kind of like I feel like this is a thing. So I just wanted to make sure that the time was right and the energy was right. So I went downstairs into the bathroom, just going to go to the bathroom. And as I was going into the bathroom, I was consciously saying, okay, is this the right time? Turn on the light, flicker, flicker. I'm like, oh, I think that was a yes. So I looked up, I'm like, yeah, flicker again. Like, okay, this is a definite yes.
That's crazy.
So today's story, I'm actually going to save for another time because it's a whole different topic, but just trust that lots of flickering, lots of communicating, like super cool stuff going on. So
crazy.
I kind of have, there's more to it, but trust me that this is, like, I think the aliens, the consciousness, the energy, whatever's out there, whatever we want to call it, it's all geeked for.
Yeah. And I feel like this podcast / video cast or broadcast, whatever, is going to be our exploration about two main things: us connecting with the infinite dimensions of all the cool shit, and we'll just report on it. And then two, us dealing with our like consciousness in a physical body. And if that consciousness is human, alien, or whatever types of mixture of being it is, because I think it's like a dual, like I don't feel like I'm an alien. I just feel like I'm hybridized with something else. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what that is. And I don't know that that's true for everyone, or maybe it is. I'm not saying I'm special. I just feel like when we said this, it was like that's starting to make sense now, because I just don't, I feel like there's something additional, right? Like, I don't know, like I feel like a GMO or something. Spiritual GMO. And no, but like, I don't even know, because it's like, I don't want to be the like, I'm so special kind of thing, because I think every being, especially even inanimate things are special. Everything is special because everything is inside the sphere of creation.
Totally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So everything's inside the sphere of creation. So everything is special and everything is unique and everything's amazing. So even the douchebags. They're really good teachers.
Douchey energy. Can't blame. Yeah, they just haven't learned yet.
Yeah. Just God love those douchebags. And so I'm feeling like we're here to help each other communicate. So we're essentially recording our conversations, but then we're also here to answer any questions we could answer from any audience member, because maybe we have insight and wisdom that we could share about consciousness or whatever, because we've learned a few things in our old age. We're like 300 years old easily.
Yeah.
Kidding.
3,000. We don't know.
3,000. There we go. And then also, I think just dealing with being in the physical realm, it's very slow and dense and heavy. And we don't want to have to get sick or shed the body to experience the awesomeness of life. And so I think part of why we want to talk about this stuff, not just to each other, but like share it with people, is because like, I think people are interested in that, and we want to connect with that energy. And, you know, if we're of any service, that's awesome. And just expressing ourselves too. And, but I think it's like a frontier, and like, you know, like there's the frontier of technology, and there's a lot of people that are really into that. And thank you, Zoom, for providing this. But the frontier of technology is one frontier, but there's, for us, I think it's the frontier of consciousness and all the beings in the trillions of galaxies. Let me repeat, trillions of galaxies that exist, and the life forces that are in that. That is cool. And I don't really want to be in a ship. I'd rather just use like my being to get where I want to go, with communicating, connecting, and exploring. And so, dear listeners, this is why I am here. And I'm assuming I spoke a little bit for Erica, but Erica, that was kind of monologue-y. Do you have more that you'd like to?
I totally love it, because as I was thinking today about, you know, what's kind of a topic we could hone in on, this idea of, I kind of popped in my head, superhuman, of being superhuman. And that you can take two different ways. There is super space human, which is the idea that, God, I feel very human in this human body. I have to live in this 3-dimensional world. You know, all the conversations we have, I have to eat the food now. I have to, whatever, like all the things that I have to do because I'm human. And then there's superhuman, one word, which is sort of that idea that Lisa was just talking about, which is like, how do we get to a point where we can live in this human, have this human experience for as long as possible, and gain all of the insight and the wisdom and the knowledge that we possibly can in this existence that we've been given. And that to me is kind of superhuman, one word. So, you know, it might be worth speaking to both, you know, because one feels heavy, like you were saying, and the other feels very hopeful and exciting. But again, it's not a or, it's an and. So how do we live these two existences together simultaneously, and really just appreciate and gain. I feel like the super space human version is where we get to learn and grow, and we get to do our best to see the light in every single experience that we have, and just collect that, and that will kind of catapult us into that superhuman version of ourselves.
So well said. Let's just take that in for a moment. Oh, good work. Good words, Erica. Thank you. Well, it's nice when you it's like, yeah, take a breath, take it in. Okay, so then, all right, so that's kind of the setup, right? Like, okay, who we are, what we're doing, why we're here. Check. Now, the other part of the show usually is where we want to get into like problem solving or the next step or the how-tos or something valuable that primarily Eric and I can use for ourselves because we're doing this for us and to express. But then if y'all, the audience, if our talking starts to help you and we serve you by answering questions or exploring questions, that's super awesome because, I love the idea of giving and serving, but sometimes you don't know where that's going to show up. And so hopefully that'll be helpful to the audience. So today, because I think we both have like top of mind questions, is I was listening. So I'm really into Eckhart Tolle in the sense of like, try to separate your thinking and what's like, if your thinking goes away and your thinking's always changing, your emotions are always changing, your body's always changing. So none of those things are actually you. There's a central thing that is you. And that's your consciousness. That's like the true self, right? Which is not even your personality. It's like the essence of life force that is you. And I'm like, groovy. Yeah, I should meditate and like get in touch with it. But in real life, IRL, I'm like a squirrel. I'm like, and I literally, between real life and just distraction.com. And then there's probably like, I feel good now, but like in life, stress comes in and that just, good luck trying to get ahead of that because the world is just so stressful as it is. And then it just gets more stressful. And then I think we can get into that discussion. So I think the central thing is, okay, what's the most helpful path to start finding your way towards your true self, your true connection, and then subsequently connecting to the field, which is all the other groovy shit, right?
Yes.
So that's top of mind for me. And like, I think the final note I'll say on my question is a lot of times you can say, okay, I know what to do, but I'm just not doing it. And I think that's so true for everybody. So those are kind of the two things where I'm like, duh. And you're really big on baby steps and you're really good with strategy. But I also want to know kind of what's your top of mind and what you're trying to solve. So that I'm going to throw that out there. And then what are your thoughts, darling Erica?
I love this. I just had the initial thing as you were talking. And I know this isn't answering your last question, which I'll get to. But as you were talking about, the thing that popped into my head was a community and like-minded people. And I'm wondering if there's something there, because I know we all kind of, as you and I have talked about many, many times, our varying needs for other people energy, but it's got to be the right energy, as we know.
Yeah.
If it's the wrong energy, that will be draining immediately, no matter who you are. If it's the right energy and you're someone who does really enjoy lots of, energy, that's got to be the right stuff. So I'm wondering for you, like, and not just for you, but for others who identify with what you just said, finding a community, like, for example, the meditation thing, I can understand and appreciate how people may be able to better meditate in a group. Maybe that would help kind of focus the mind in a way when it's kind of more like energy together.
Yeah.
Whereas other people maybe would do much better alone, meditating alone. Maybe that other energy might kind of almost impede on that ability to really focus, solo. But anyway, I'm wondering if maybe that's part of it, where if you're trying to do it alone, maybe it's better for you to, maybe there's a community out there. Maybe we could.
That's a really good point. Or we start a community.
We could start a community.
Who knows?
Meditators.
Meditators, yes. And then also I did get Dr. Greer's app too. Cool. So I can, but there's things that are trickier about it because, well, I'll discuss that later. But yes, there are ways using the tech of the world, the social media, to like find ways to connect with that more. That's a great strategy.
Oh, yes. Okay. So that was just the first thing. Second, you asked top of mindness, and I think a couple things. I actually, believe it or not, it's not working. Let me open my little notepad here because I had written down. Oh, there were two things. Okay, so this idea of being human, like being like superhuman or superhuman. So that was one. The other was, now this is totally different, off the rails, like which we can discuss at a later time, but just something for maybe to noodle on. So as I was talking to my light fixtures, I started thinking about I started thinking about, I was like,
quote of the day.
You are the only person that I can tell that I feel comfortable saying, you know what, I was talking to my light fixtures today, and you'd be like, oh, tell me more. Whereas I feel like somebody else might be like, stop right there. Let's get you to a hospital, because I don't think that's normal. And I was thinking about this idea of mental illness, because mental illness in the last, I don't know, 10, 15, 20, maybe 20 years, I don't even know, I can't even guess, has been kind of more, a discussion, and I'm thinking, I'm like, how many, you and I have never actually talked about this idea of, are in some cases we misdiagnosing? Because so when you and I worked downtown together, I had to park, and I don't know if I think we both might have parked like in a kind of seedier area where you'd have to walk by.
Definitely.
Okay. Yeah. There was a woman who you might even remember. There was a woman there who I walked by almost every morning, and she would be in these intense conversations with someone, but I didn't see the person, it was someone that she was seeing or whatever, hearing, maybe, I'm not sure. And she was these are intense conversations she was having. And of course, at the time, this is like what, I don't even know, 10 years ago, 8 years ago, whatever it was, 5 years ago, I don't even know. But, at the time, my let's say less than enlightened mind was like, oh, she's obviously crazy. There's something wrong with her. Now I'm like, well, or here's another option. Perhaps like her reality is real to her. Whatever she's seeing there is real. And perhaps this world that we live in, the society that she lives in, just has immediately labeled her as crazy and, diagnosed her with something. And so she's, we're just gonna, brush her to the side, poo-poo her. Because I'm like, well, now that I'm talking to light fixtures, somebody else might diagnose me as like a schizo, or not, or whatever, bipolar or something that's,
No, now you're a guru genius to talk to light fixtures. Yeah.
So, but if this woman also was, but she was so beaten down that now she's arguing with these, things that she's seeing, these other energies or levels of consciousness that she's seeing, saying, go away, leave me alone, I'm clearly not, or whatever, right? Who knows? I'm just saying an example. I'm not saying that maybe she was like a super drug addict and like, who knows? I have no idea. But the point is, I'm starting to think of this whole idea of mental illness and how, and even to the point of, someone like Paul, right? Okay, so my brother Paul has Down syndrome, and I'm his caregiver, and I see him almost every day. And growing up, we were arch nemesis. We did not like each other. We were, I pushed him down the stairs once. He pulled a knife on me once. Like, we did not get along at all. And it was all because I didn't understand him. He didn't understand me. There were literally everything you can think of that was different between the two of us. Now, I see him, and I have a completely different outlook on him. I see how people respond when he walks down the street. I see that people's energy just kind of lights up. Like Paul, I feel like has this invisible bubble. He's like the bubble boy. he has this like invisible protective field around him that he could go anywhere and do anything and no one's going to harm him. And so as long as I'm with him, I'm good. I'm safe. Because he is superhuman, one word. And so, and of course he's being forced to live in this world where, he's been conditioned now to, there's a whole lot of other stuff going on, right? But he's conditioned in a way that only because, we want him to behave a certain way. Well, that's not cool. Why not just let him be him? Anyway, I'm kind of going off, but the point is getting back to this idea of accepting people where they are, meeting them where they are versus forcing them to kind of conform into this world we've created. Anyway, I've kind of gone off the rails, but that's been a little bit top of mind just because I was talking to the light fixtures.
Well, it's really important because what I think you're talking about is the authenticity of your whole being versus the conditioned reality. And of course, some people's conditioning is stronger or more dysfunctional than others. And again, it's kind of back to that, we have to shove ourselves into this small body, into this third dimension, and then into this family, into this culture, into this, relationships or whatever, into this, even what your aptitudes are. Okay, I want to just be able to do A, B, and C, but my aptitude is I'm not good at math, or so I can only do these jobs. But if I was good at math, I would have just been a physicist, no question. I would have just been that's my job.
I bet you were in a past life. Oh my God.
That I was, but now I'm 4 plus 4 plus, I'm just like a goldfish when it comes to math. So it's you're stuck with your abilities that you've been sort of, I'm sure that all the astrologists, the numerologists would go, oh yeah, you can't, you have this design, human design, all that stuff where you're just so you're shoved into all these sort of, human culture, family, aptitudes, blah, blah, so it's this very narrow little funnel, but you're putting infinite consciousness into. No wonder people choose to die at a certain point. They're over it, totally over it. But I think what we're talking about is how can you be authentic, fully expressed, and live here and survive and keep your rent paid. And this is tough, people.
Yes.
I'm telling you, all of us, if it was Star Trek economy, we could all just go do what we're good at and what lights us up. But we are still sort of savagely money-based, all this consciousness that we are. And I appreciate all the things it's teaching us, but at the same time, it's a lot of energy, kind of how we use the fossil fuels off the earth when we could be, it's a lot of energy to take those things and convert them and use them. And then they have byproducts. And then there's, better forms of energy usage, a la, the original Tesla, Nikolai Tesla, not, the energy it takes for us to even make energy or eat food and convert energy. It takes a lot of energy to do the energy dance, paying rent, making rent, work, all this stuff. So I think part of, why people really got into biohacking or all this stuff is this shouldn't take this much effort and time and focus. I just want to do things. And I think in other dimensions or other worlds or what other societies,
yes,
that energy input output thing is different. And so we spend so much time doing that the time to be authentic and express whatever it is you need to express, or, all this stuff is I've got 10 minutes today to try to connect with the other dimensions, because a lot of people, not only do they have children, they work second jobs, or they have people they have to care for that are not children, or,
yes,
I feel, so it's how are we expecting all of humanity to suddenly rise in consciousness when them just trying to stay alive and keep their rent paid and get to the dentist or whatever you're supposed to do. All that stuff it takes a toll. And so I can see why people, obviously with the pandemic and stuff, a certain, okay, we're done because we're over it. And we're, they either come back and start over, or they go off to a different dimension, different anything, that kind of thing. So basically that was long-winded, but what I'm trying to get at, I guess, is you're a person that I've known to be very authentic. Like the focus is always on truth and honesty and authenticity. And if something gets in your way, you're like, nah, like no, like you just can't live in a bullshit zone very well. And I'm actually pretty good at it, and it's taken its toll on me. But like, and some people are expert, like
you're
so
good at it. You're in different ways than I am, and this is
sometimes. But yeah, I mean, but I think it's like the ability to want to really be full. Like you're a writer, like you have all this energy to like just sort of live your life and stuff. So I think that ties in a little bit with the, like when you're perceiving people with different mental, I'll say frequencies, because it's, just because I was listening to this. Oh, I wanted to take a side note. They're saying that people who, just because they're fast, people think that they're smart. Like, let's say they have a math problem and they can do it really fast. But there's some people that think, like Einstein they thought he was kind of, because he thinks really slow. But actually, people that can think slow aren't owned by their thinking, because there's space in between thoughts to select the thoughts. But think about someone like myself, or let's say it's super genius people. They're like computers where they're just, they're thinking. But thinking is not who you are. Thinking is just a function, right? Emotions, like all these things aren't you. Like your consciousness is, like thinking is different than a lot of people, I think, the identity of the self. You think you're thinking, but I'm like, no, your thinking affects you, but you aren't your thinking. There's a higher thing above that. And I think it's hard to even get in touch with. Like, I'm not even sure I'm in touch with that, but I just know it resonates with me that that's the truth.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just think that, like, I don't know where I'm going with all this, but yes, it's challenging to be here. And just because they say you should be fast, and just because, like all these things. And I think what I love about you is that you really try to just go, hey, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to drink no Kool-Aid. I'm going to do it my way. Like you're very, and then when you don't do that, because we all step out of that, you're like, oh, that's so painful. I don't want to do that anymore. And you're really good at like this, eventually just going no and going a different way. So I'm just proud of you for that.
I love you. I love every ounce of you, every quarter ounce of you. Just adore it. And I will say, just for the folks listening, that Lisa, this is kind of fun, because Lisa and I've never met someone who I'm so compatible with. We're very different in certain ways, in the right ways, and we're very much alike in the right ways. Yes. And the reason I say that is because I'm going to point something out. When Lisa says, kind of, when to say no, she was born with this amazing ability to do this in relationships. Something that I admire, because I was not born with this ability. I've been in a number of romantic, platonic, all sorts of kinds of relationships, a little too long, in my past. And I've always admired how she's just, and I should just say this to you, because I'm speaking to you.
We switched.
I've always admired, kind of going back and forth, the way that you just immediately know who to get involved with and who not to. And when it doesn't work for you anymore, you just kind of, I don't even think you get to that point, actually. I've never seen you get to that point.
I did back in the past, though. That's the reason I'm good at this, is because I need people so much. I would connect with people so much. And so you learn at a young age, like, okay, yeah, no. So I just had more data to process at a younger age. Someone who's introverted, they probably take longer because they're not connecting with every person they walk by. I mean, remember, when we used to work downtown, I'd be like, talk to the bank teller, I would talk to anybody that would talk.
She's like Jay, and I'm like Silent Bob. I always say this, like Jay and Silent Bob were together. Yeah.
Yes.
in like a social setting.
Yeah. In a social setting. I know. I'm like Jason Mewes. And so I think what we can say from that is, whatever data that someone got at an early age, like from like but it's in a different realm. Like I'm in the relationship realm because I'm wired like that.
Yeah.
other people, like, they're like, your ability to just, you're not like, I'm going to read the internet, you're just like downloading it, is because you had time by yourself and you're like, yeah, I kind of tried all that. And like, I think there's just different strengths we develop.
Yes.
Because we've had more time in this body
Yes.
to like work through it. Cause I certainly had shit relationships as like, elementary school, handful of different things, not just romantic things, but it wasn't until I was about 30 where I was like, I think the Saturn return, for all you astrologers out there, it was like this, like, like I just started going. And the older you get, just the less crap you want to put up with. And that's why old people are like,
Yes, it's true.
Yes. They just have it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think the wisdom I would like to give today, because if anyone's made it this far in this podcast, thank you. Yeah, and I want to give some actionable, because they're like, okay, who are you and why are you listening? Okay, I think the main thing is I just want any listener to join us. It's not so much like, okay, yeah, I think sometimes I'm really wise, and yeah, sometimes I think Erica is like a freaking genius of
epic proportions. Everything she says is mirrored. Like it's yeah.
It's just the same. Yeah, we love. But I also think that what I'm hoping to do is, as people participate with us in this podcast, is I want other people to get more in touch with themselves, because I've been so externally focused and looking for the answers outside of myself for 50 freaking years, and now I'm like, oh, I should maybe look inside, I'm like, so that's my journey. And I just want to say, like, if you're younger than 50, you'll end up here anyway in this, like, yeah, the external world is great. And if you can't trust your own guidance, which you're really good at, if you can't trust your own guidance, you have nothing, right? But some people, they're in their 70s and they're still figuring that out, or they won't even figure it out in this lifetime, and that's okay. Like, it doesn't matter. But anybody who's made it this far and wants to watch is like, let's all participate in trying to like connect with the source that connects everything, because I just think that that's where it's at, man. And we can just, I don't know, it's like, I just want to provide like people want this. This isn't just something that I read a book and it's interesting. Like, we really want this. And a lot of people argue the world needs this. And I like to not be in a state of need, because it's a state of lack. But I think humanity would really benefit.
You said something so wise many years ago about how if we all just kind of connected to who we truly were, and then let those gifts and those kind of innate talents in us shine. I know you didn't use these words, but I'm kind of interpreting. Then there would be so much more balance in the world. And when you said balance, that word really resonated, because I thought, gosh, so our job really as humans, one big job, we are in these bodies, in these lives for a very big reason. And that is to be the best selves that we can be. And the only way you can do that is to really get to know yourself. I kind of, I have this belief that our bodies, our human bodies, are microcosms of the universe. We have all the knowledge. We have access to all of the knowledge and information that's out there. We just do. And kind of to what you were saying about this consciousness that is who we are. Well, the consciousness, it is who we are, and it is connected, and your consciousness is part of my consciousness, which is part of, the next person's consciousness. And it's all, I think as human beings, we're so linear thinking, and we're so, it's hard for us to kind of think an and, but I'm stuck on this idea of and. It's this and that and that. There is no but, there is no or, there is no however. It's just, it's all of it. It's all of it and then some. And so there's so much, and it's kind of exciting when you think about, wow, there is so much. And the more we grow, the more there is to learn. It's really cool. So just, tap in, meditate, do the stuff, like whatever works, do the human design stuff, do the astrology stuff, do the numerology stuff, go to therapy, talk to your friends and family, the people who know you best, get their feedback. And Eckhart Tolle, one of the things that I learned from him was kind of this idea of objective observation, where you kind of almost sit outside of yourself and observe you. You know, like if it means journaling, if you have to have an experience and then go home and write about it to really see yourself in a different way, do what you can to learn you. That is your job. And I think that might be the takeaway for today is you know.
I have even more to add to that, because
Yes.
I remember a few years ago, and it was when I'd seen you in Colorado, because Eric and I live in different states, and different states of consciousness and different states in America.
There it is.
In consciousness, different states in America.
Yes.
And I remember I did a real deep dive on all my, I'll call it like the assigned personality that I got, human design, you know, all the chart, astrology, all the stuff. And I needed to go to through that process. It was like I could literally map this out, where I had to go to the like, okay, this is what I'm designed like, and you can drink that Kool-Aid or not, but the truth is that there's probably enough of it that resonates where you're like, okay, that sounds like me. And then you learn to accept and love, and that piece was totally missing for me. So I had to learn to love the personality that was Lisa. Okay. But then I spent, I want to say, a good few years just focusing on the self-love. Matt Kahn is a great self-love kind of guy, if anyone wants to check him out on the internet. You know, just, I love you, like truly loving the thing that is your personality in your body. Right. But then when I've, you know, obviously Eckhart has been around forever, but I kind of got back into it because I realized that that's just like a rental. And I'm like, it's like I just learned to love my rental home. And then when I learned to love the rental home,
and then the lease expired.
Oh God. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. And then and it was like, yeah, I don't want to move out yet. But like where I had to learn to love the rental unit. And once I loved the rental unit, it calmed down. Not like I was trying to fix myself or be different or whatever. And as I learned to calm down that part, and there was love there, then I could see that was just not even the real me. And there's like the observer personality that is Lisa looking at this thing that is not even, it's like, that's the conscious. What is that thing? That's like the true essence. And so now I'm getting into these mind-blowing layers where I'm like, I'm not even me. I mean, I'm me, but yet, or it's like the broadcast of me is being broadcast into this third seeming dimension, right? And by the way, everybody, we have physics books to back up all the crazy shit we're saying, but we're just, I'll put it in notes or whatever, because we're not even talking about that stuff because we're not math people, but there are math people that discuss this. But it's like you're a broadcast, but I'm like, is that broadcast, will I have this personality forever? Or is this like a try-on personality? And the true essence of me, what is that? And, you know, because I think we get so identified with our personalities too. And so I don't even know where I'm going with that.
Well,
but
I'm going to take it one step deeper now.
Yeah.
I think what you might be getting at, maybe, I'm not sure, but is this idea of so once you kind of get to know yourself, I think hopefully at some point there's a realization that at the core, we find love. So if we are love, you have no choice but to love all of it. The not you, the you, the what, you know, whatever. It's almost like, again, going back to the end, it's this super complex kind of layered existence, and then love, which is so simple. And you kind of find, what I realized is, one of the things I realized is when I identify myself as love, then it's like everything else just kind of falls away. You walk around, it's like this kind of, imagine this little heart walking around the planet. Just, you are love. You're just walking around the planet, and you have no choice but to love everything because that's who you are. And so then you're like, I don't even, it just kind of, it gives you a whole new kind of energy to, whether or not you even get to know all of the tiny bits and pieces about you almost doesn't even matter because you are love.
Yeah.
And that's really what the whole point of getting to know yourself is. Yes, we want to know these things. And it's, you know, that's kind of like a step or many steps, you know, it's, I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, but
no, I get it. Yeah.
Get it. Okay, good.
Yeah. It's like a step that you may need to take to get to the love part.
Yes.
I needed to do that, but technically you can go right there.
You can go right there.
You don't need to know your charts. All that stuff is total BS.
Oh,
in the end of the day, because you are just the love, but it's a way in.
It's exactly, it is a way in. And I do think it's beneficial. I continue, I kind of go back and forth, because it is, again, being human, sometimes it is hard to just constantly be in that state of love, especially like on the road for me when I'm like, road rage, I don't love right now. Oh my God. But that's a whole nother thing. But like, exactly. But I think, I just had a thought and it escaped. Oh yes, I remember what it is. So love, if we go back to this idea of we are love, then then you almost get to be in sort of more of a fun observation mode where whatever you discover, it's like you're in discovery mode where whatever you see and whatever you observe, you just kind of love it. Even the icky things that you might experience where, it's just, I feel like you might get out of the vortex for a minute, but then you can pop right back in, knowing that whatever that experience, it was meant for something, and you can love it for that reason.
Yeah.
You can love it because it pushed you to grow in this way or that way or whatever it was.
It helps your consciousness. All
super does.
Contrast is there to help you realize that you're attached to your thinking. I think it's because you're attached to your thinking. Like, but I'm thinking this, and I'm like, well, then now you're suffering because of your thinking.
Yes.
Now I'd say that's like most of people's suffering. There are shitty things that happen.
Totally.
That just are suffering, no question. And so we reserve the right for all humans to say, no, this just sucks, and this is not about thinking. 100%. We don't want to list things here, but we all know what we're talking about. But there's the other piece where people are just mad at drivers or mad at politics or mad at something. Like, yes. You're caught in there's a lack, there's disempowerment. Yes. There's, oh my God, we could go on for hours.
Oh my God, I know. I was going to say, we're going to talk about all the things in this one podcast.
Yeah, we will.
We're just going to have one podcast.
Separate podcast. Yeah, this was kind of the intro overview, kind of feel us out. Yeah, see what it's all about. And then we'll do more targeted, hopefully we'll get questions from people and we can help answer questions or just talk about questions, because sometimes we won't have the answer. But I certainly know you and I will analyze it and come up with awesome perspectives for sure.
Yes.
And so go to our website, which will be listed and wherever it's listed.
You'll see it on the screen at some point.
Subscribe and do all the stuff, because we live in this world. Stuff. And join us next time, because we want to have fun with you and we have fun with each other. We're going to do this if we have we're going to do it if we have 0 subscribers or watchers or audience people.
Yeah.
Or we could be like on Modern Family. He's like my follower. Like if it or Cam has 1 follower.
It's going to be my dad.
Yeah, it's going to be your dad. And it'll be perfect. I know. And then, so thank you for getting this far in this video, if you did. And because you're awesome and we love that you're on our wavelength and we want to hear from you. And even if you're not on our wavelength, that's cool too, because
maybe we want to get to your wavelength.
Yeah, maybe you're on an even better wavelength.
Better wavelength, and we want to.
As long as love is in the wavelength, that's my only criteria.
Yeah,
doesn't even all the words are just words, but as long as there's a love vibration, then we are with you. Yes. Okay. Hearts to you, Erica. Hearts to our audience.
Okay. Hearts
Super to love to all of you.
Universe.
Yes, and. Yeah, and our super amazing video guy is going to play outro music and stuff. And yeah, connect with us, people. Thank you for being here. I love you.
Love you. Bye-bye.